let's get the lead topic out of the way before we jump onto all the UFC shit in it. Let's get the lead topic out of the way. So, as most of you have probably heard already, I saw Unique did a video on it actually. So I'm sure most of you guys already seen the news, but it appears as if Theo Vaughn has finally, in my opinion, I say finally announced that he's leaving King and the Sting. Now, if you're a long time viewer of the show, like I was, I used to watch it a bit, and then I think I used to watch it when the studio was yellow, when they actually used to be King and the Sting, and used to King or Sting it, and used to actually take the piss out of each other. When it started turning into like a TV show thing, I kind of went away straight away. I was like, nah, I'm not interested.
Toehold fund since the fan was abandoned.
Toehold fund. Bigger space guy, yo. I'm not even gonna start that rumor. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing the toeholds. The toehold sandal thing is not happening. I was thinking, should I get a pair and review them? No way. I'm not doing it. Not in the slightest way. It's never happening. But thank you, Space Kai, for the $10. I appreciate you, my friend. But yeah, Sophia Vaughn. I felt like for a long time wanted to leave King and the Sting. And this is even before the controversy happened around Brandon Schaub and, T-Fat K and Brian in general and Chris, all that stuff. I think it's way, way, way before that. I got the feeling he wanted to leave, more so because it felt like he's always been a little bit, he always feels a little bit flustered when he has too much to do. I think if you're a long time listener of these podcasts too, you'll know that he would complain a lot about touring, about, going on tour in general, doing loads of shows, especially when his popularity started to really increase over the years, had to get more exposure. He never really liked it. He liked doing podcasts and doing his own thing, but he never actually liked to kind of chase that level of fame or the requirements that it kind of brought about. And obviously doing, 70 million podcasts in a week didn't help either. And obviously he went through his own thing that he's going through that's not really been spoken about in terms of whatever mental things that he goes through in terms of mental health. Then obviously he was battling his sobriety. So loads of things going for that time. But for the longest time, I always felt like he wanted to leave King and the Sting, but he never really had the courage to tell Brendan that he wanted to leave, because clearly at that time too, they were way more closer than they are now, I'd imagine. And also I think he knew how much it meant to Brendan that he did the show with him, because they just clicked, especially in the beginning. Let's not lie and let's not paint any other topics, but in the beginning, for sure, Brendan and Theo were a great team together, especially on King and the Sting. The whole reason why it started was because when they first introduced Theo to the kind of LA podcast and seen through their podcast, which, Brendan will say he discovered him, but I don't think he discovered him. Maybe give him a platform on podcasting and stuff and to show his personality. But when they first started on T-Fat K, having him on, the banter between Theo and Brendan was immediate. I mean, it was really good. And it was really good to see them ripping into each other. And I think that was also around the time when Brendan's kind of reputation online was suffering a little bit. The T-Fat K subreddit wasn't as prominent as it is now, but people were starting to not like him. So the fact that somebody was willing and able to kind of rip into him and kind of tease him a bit, it made people on the subreddit really happy. Do you know what I mean? And it kind of made him seem a little bit more likable, that he was willing to let people rip him, because clearly we know Brendan now to be really thin-skinned and to be someone that doesn't like to get laughed at too much. There's always a limit with him, especially with his skill set. You always feel as if like there's only so much you can joke with him before he flipping choke slams you or whatnot. But obviously with Theo, there was clearly love their relationship. And obviously they went on to do King and the Sting, and it was really successful. And the first few episodes were always crazy high views, really good engagement. The fans loved it in the comments, like always interactive. The phone calls in, the submissions. It was a really fun show. I'm not gonna lie. But obviously over time, as per usual, when it comes to Brendan Schaub stuff, for whatever reason, it kind of fizzled. It kind of died. All the kind of juice and the fun went out of it, and the love. And then I guess from then on as well, all the Brendan stuff happened too. And that obviously didn't help the situation. And probably Theo was in a weird position anyway, being friends with Bobby Lee, probably thinking, yeah, I mean, like we're just a weird situation all around. But anyway, it's been announced on the latest show of King of the Sting, which is episode 93. I'm going to play the clip here, and then we're going to continue talking about it. But this is Theo Vaughn announcing that he's going to leave King of the Sting.
Thickboy.com. But Appleton and Ontario, you're up, man.
Yeah, and then I got some sad news. I'm going to be taking a step back from being on King and the Sting. And I just want to thank you guys for just being a part of my life and letting this show be a part of your life. And, I'm grateful to you, Brendan, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, today was a lot of fun and
the best, brother.
Yeah, it was the best. Today was awesome.
Funniest guy I know.
Thanks, bro.
Damn. Did someone die, or is someone leaving the podcast? And again, this goes back to what I said previously. That's really interesting when it comes to Brendan. he's way more emotional and cut up about his friend who, they're friends, don't get me wrong, but he's not known him as long as somebody he'd known in college. He's not known him as somebody as long as he's, maybe his family members or whatever not. But it seems odd. And again, I wish I could find out something about it psychologically, how people are like that. How he seems to have way more emotion for people that he just met or maybe met in the last 5 years than actual family members. Because when he described his own grandma passing, it was like an afterthought. When his wife's mum died, his wife's grandma, I think, died, that was an afterthought. When they happened with the whole miscarriage thing with his wife happened, it didn't really bother him, it looked like, for the most part, or outwardly. But then when it came to Crystalia getting cancelled, he was sobbing on the microphone, of course, that infamous flipping I can't talk thing. And now here he looks absolutely distraught. It's pretty interesting, isn't it, that he'd react this way when it comes to just friends leaving a podcast. And I imagine they're still going to be friends. They're still going to text each other, still going to see each other around town. But someone leaving a podcast is like, wants to sob. It's like really funny. It's really interesting just to see it. I wonder what it's about, but who knows?
I appreciate that, man.
Shit, we've been doing what, 4 years?
Motherfucker, relax, man. It's not that deep. And if anything, like I said beforehand, this should have been obvious already. This should have been really obvious that he was always going to leave. Like, it was pretty blatant. And I think that maybe speaks to the flipping arrogance and just lack of self-awareness when it comes to Brendan. Because if it was me and I didn't know that Theo Vaughn, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he didn't know because he's in it. He's creating content. He's living his life. He's looking after his family. He's going on the road. So he's not going to really be paying attention to all the little kind of goings on behind the scenes, what Theo said on this podcast. He's not got the time. He's got a million things on his plate. If he didn't know then, he should have known now, especially when all the Annie Liederman and Kalila stuff happened. Because, of course, Theo Vaughn's really close with Bobby. He's way more closer with Bobby Lee, it feels like, than Brendan. So he should have known immediately from then, this might cause an issue. But again, that's why I think, in general, that's probably one of his biggest letdowns of his personality, is that he doesn't seem to think that strategically or way ahead of time. Because if it was me and I'm having a thirsty night and I'm looking at my phone, I see a picture of Kalila and her tits are shiny and shit, and I'm friends with Theo, and he's friends with Bobby Lee, who's also dating that girl, I think twice about DMing her, because I know what the ramifications could be. Do you know what I mean? Because you're putting your friends in a position where they have to pick one or the other, and unfortunately, this again maybe goes to the hubris that he has in terms of what he believes himself to be. He probably thought he was like the Joe Rogan in that circle, but clearly he wasn't, because when the whole thing went down, even though people have been acting like they didn't pick sides, they clearly all did pick sides, and everybody picked Bobby Lee's side. You didn't really hear Brendan say, I got phone calls from people saying they support me. You heard it from Bobby Lee, but you didn't really hear it from him. And since then also, there's not really been many big guests from the scene, going on T5K. So clearly that whole thing damaged it and made it weird. So I don't really get why he's being so upset like this, because he should have seen this coming. He definitely should have seen this coming, especially after the whole Collider stuff. But, maybe he was too wrapped up in his own world to even care about that.
Been that long?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah,
I like that Gang Gang t-shirt, by the way. That Gang Gang t-shirt's really nice. Can I say that? That Gang Gang tee? Go back a little bit. That t-shirt's banging. I'm a big fan of that. It looks fucking cool. I'd wear the fuck out of that. Kind of like an anti-social club kind of thing. That looks really cool.
Yeah,
You gotta handle some shit, brother. There's a bigger thing for you out there,
Yeah.
I don't like that. I got this. I don't like that. I don't like that insinuation. It's a thing that Brendan does a lot, quite often with Theo, and I'm sure they're friends and they're fine with it because you don't really hear Theo complain about it too tough. But he does this thing where whenever Theo didn't turn up to a show or whatever, or cancelled last minute, because I guess he'd cancel a lot last minute, maybe because he wasn't bothered or he just didn't want to go and he was too shy to say he didn't want to do the show anymore. But he would always say stuff like, oh yeah, he fell off the wagon, a joke, an innuendo about cocaine or something. There'd always be these little sly jokes. And I would think, personally for me, if that's your friend, that's not a thing to really joke about. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit rude, right? It's a little bit lacking in manners and shit. But he'd do it all the time. And I'm thinking, I don't like that insinuation that he's trying to imply that the only reason why the guy's going is because he's got some shit to handle, like he's got some issues he's going through. No, maybe he's going because he doesn't want to be on the show with you anymore. He thinks you're bad for business. He chose Bobby Lee over you. Maybe his agents, motorbike. maybe his agents behind the scene also, because you have to imagine this is LA, WME, flipping.
I always watch the replays, first time on the live stream. Love it.
Can you see me? Can you guys hear and see me? Can you hear and see me? Can you hear me and see me, guys? Is everything fine? Let me check my emails. Did I get hit with a copyright strike? Is that why I went down? Let's see here. No copyright strikes on emails. I wonder why I went down. Why did I disappear like that for? That was strange, isn't it? So everyone can hear me and see me, yeah? Okay, bless. All right, cool. There we go. Anyway, as I was saying, what was I saying before? What was I saying before? Oh, I was saying about the insinuation that Theo's only leaving because he has to sort out some stuff away from podcasting that may not or may involve whatever issue he has coming off the or outside of podcasting in terms of mental health stuff, maybe in terms of sobriety issues, whatever it may be. I don't like that insinuation. I think it's really horrible, especially if it's someone that's meant to be your friend. You should keep that stuff private. It shouldn't be stuff that you should be joking about, or if it is, it should be able to be a level playing field. Like if you can joke about that, I can joke about the fact that maybe every day you're in some sort of scandal or something. I mean, I should be able to joke about, but you can't with Brendan. It seems like a very one-way street. You can't get super personal with him, but you can talk about super personal things about you, which I don't really like at all. But anyway, let's continue and let me hear the end of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is exactly, man. I mean, yeah, I mean, I
Okay, I'm sorry to keep pausing it, but I don't like this also from Theo. He has to be a bit of a grown up and a bit of a man in the situation, because he's doing that thing that people do when they break up, where they're like, "Oh, it's not me, it's you," and it's not you, it's me. Sorry, which is obviously trying to avoid kind of fessing up to the issue and being honest and be like, "Hey, there was a problem. I didn't like this. I didn't like this. This is why I'm leaving." And that should be that should obviously maybe not on air. That's not the wise thing to do, but there should be a clear thing of like, now this at the moment, with what I'm trying to do in my career, I feel like it's best that I kind of use that time to, because think about it, if they're filming this once a week and shit and he's not feeling it anyway, it's taking away energy and time from things that he actually wants to do. Or maybe he just doesn't want to do it anyway, he just wants to have his schedule be a bit free, because I've always thought as well, these comedians do probably too much than is required, and it ends up showing on the stage, because a lot of these guys that have really good podcasts usually don't have good stand-up, and I think a lot of it is because they podcast too much. They kind of waste all of their creative juices or energies or whatever it may be called, or chakras, whatever it may be, on the podcast, making that great, making that amazing, because obviously it's quite rewarding. But then by the time they get on the stage, it's not the same. So they could all probably do with maybe pulling back a bit and saving some of that stuff for the road, for the shows and whatnot. So just be honest and say, look, I don't want to do it anymore. All this sort of like, I don't know, because we've known this for ages. Even the Fight the Kid subreddit, I've been on there for a long time, and people have been guessing and insinuating that Theo was going to leave the podcast from time ago. So the fact that he's trying to like act like he doesn't know why, it's like, come on, you know why you want to leave.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad, I feel sad about it,
Quickly, I think Josie Master says, doesn't Theo live in Nashville? He does, but from what I'm to understand, last time I checked in on the show, again, I don't watch it too regularly, so I don't know if something has changed. The last time I checked in, he has 2 residences. He has a place out there and a place in LA. And he was clearly bouncing between the two, because obviously he could afford it, and he wasn't really decided on where he wanted to stay. So maybe this is the reason why he wants to quit this, to move permanently over there. I'm not too sure, but from last I know, he has 2 residences. He has 2 places, one in LA, one in Nashville.
But it's still an exciting show, and there's great people here. And
like who? Come on.
And
oh my God, mate, he is so distraught. God damn it. Again, like I said, if anybody knows psychologically what that's about, or can describe that in terms of personality trait, somebody who gets really emotional and upset about work things or about social colleagues or friends and stuff, but doesn't seem to have the same level of emotion when it comes to fucking family members. Please, someone tell me that. Or long time friends. I'd love to know what that's about. I
think that's important, that that it's a great show still.
Yeah, grateful of Chris and Eric and everyone.
Yeah, and for people to enjoy, man. And
He's filling in time and just saying anything like he did when. Do you remember that clip that people? You remember that clip on? I think Brendan Shaw show where he played. I think Chin made this compilation of all Brendan's friends thanking him for being alive and doing this stand-up special. Do you remember that? It was a really strange video, a compilation of all his friends basically thanking him for doing a stand-up special. I don't know what the point of that was, but Theo came in on one of them and it looked like he didn't know what to say and he just started waffling, but he didn't really say anything constructive about what he was talking about. I think towards the end maybe it says, "Oh, congratulations on the special," but it was just him filling in time, and this is what it sounds like he's doing the same thing here.
yeah, I love you guys, and yeah, just thank you so much. There'll be some times where I'll pop back in, but I just don't want to kind of leave that in the lurch. I feel like I've left it there for a while, and it's probably made it uncomfortable as a listener, maybe, and just as and people working here too, not to be able to, be sure of me. And so anyway, thank you guys, man. I love y'all, and I love you, bro.
Love you, brother. You know that.
Gang, gang,
All right,
baby.
guys. Buzz.
For old times, I should have done this in the middle of the show, but for old times, do we maybe want to all eat a hot chip?
I mean, I'm down.
I don't want that.
That to me, that end interaction there probably says everything about their relationship. The one time Theo actually stands up for himself and says, "No, I don't want to do that," but Brendan obviously did want to do it, but Theo didn't, and they've never been on the same page since. So, what do I think about this in general? In general, because let's rewind a little bit too. Let's just quickly touch upon this too. Let's rewind a little bit. Obviously, the man, the myth, the legend, BGL is in the background as always, right? When he's not hiding behind bushes, flipping Brendan a drink, he's literally in the background, right? Trying to make himself look small, even though he's fucking massive. This is an interesting bit of the story, right? In general, because I wonder how this played into it. Because if I'm not mistaken, Theo made a pretty funny joke about him being what? What did he say about him? Oh, what was the joke he said about him, man? I forgot. It was a fucking funny one-liner that he's just a little one-liner he threw out there. And I guess for whatever reason, whatever trolls he has went back to him and basically started spamming him, and then I guess made him feel like it was a dig when it wasn't. It was just literally a one-line joke, kind of just being funny. And he didn't receive it too well. So for some reason, the guy that hangs around in the comics has thin skin and can't take being... Oh, yeah, that's it. Protein pony. Yeah, that's the one. He could have been protein pony. Classic Theo, yeah? Typical great joke, right? It's like him calling fucking Eddie Bravo a deaf Jack Russell. It's so precise and so nonsensical that it makes you want to laugh. Oh, sorry, that it makes you laugh. But for whatever reason, I think mostly the trolls getting back to him and kind of spamming his comments, it didn't go down too well with BGL. And he didn't react too well to it. And he said something in the comments like, what do you say? Like, he wouldn't say that to my face. Or, he said something like, "Oh, when I saw him, he didn't say it to my face. He had a different energy," or something like that. And then someone else said something else about him in the comments. And then he said something quite insulting about, or insinuating that he was trying to insult Theo for his mental health issues. And I was like, bruv, don't you work for Brendan? Aren't you meant to be like Brendan's assistant or something, right? Or PA or whatever you're meant to be, right? But then he's obviously a partner in the business with with Theo. Why would you insult his business partner and a close friend of his in that way? You make it incredibly awkward and hard for Brendan, because what's he meant to do? Is he meant to discipline you? Is he meant to tell you to chill out? Is he meant to tell Theo to relax and not joke, even though Theo's a fucking professional comedian? Why would you do that? It just made it complete. It just added unnecessary stress to a already maybe fractious relationship anyway, right? Because I'd imagine Theo probably wasn't being upfront in terms of what he wanted to do. Brendan was obviously feeling like he was kind of being distant and stuff, but trying to pull it back in. Then the whole Collider stuff happened. He's probably thinking, shit, I probably shit the bed. I put my foot in it. And it was just happening in the background. So I wonder if this played a role in it. It probably didn't, because, he's not that significant in the whole affair, because he's only come around the last, 2 or so years. I don't know how long he's been. Is it 2 or so years? I felt like BGL's been around. He's been around since the pandemic, isn't it, BGL? When do you say BGL started hanging out with him? I'd say around pandemic times, isn't it? When Malik and flipping Chappelle were doing the show. So maybe 2.5 years, maybe 3, I'm not too sure. But he's not been around too long. But I wonder if that added a little bit of a thing to the situation. But anyway, that aside, in general, obviously for Theo, I must say, as a fan of his, because there's not many people within that. Yeah, Eddie's saying during the pandemic, there's not many people within that LA comedy scene that I'm a fan of. Like in terms of human beings, in terms of being funny, and I think that obviously the easiest ones are to name are like Bill Burr, of course, right? But Theo Vaughn from day one, I've always loved him because I always thought he's super funny. I just like the fact that he's completely different than everybody else. He hasn't come from a middle class family. He's clearly had an interesting life. He comes from the South. The way he looks and presents, the story he tells, how open he is to, exploring different things. The guests he has, like one time he had a guest on there. I think he had like a plumber. He has somebody that works in a morgue. He has somebody that does like rat infestation, like really incredible, like everyday people. He does that thing on his comedy show where he will do, what does he do? He'd do like a fundraiser for like a single parent. Obviously, for a long time, his mum had to look after him on his own because his dad was really old, and he would do like these little fundraisers where he would basically give a mum some money to get herself dolled up and stuff, get a haircut, have some nice makeup, buy herself a nice outfit, and come to the show, see him have a drink and shit, just enjoy him. I mean, let the hair down because obviously day to day being a single mother must be difficult. So let's give him an opportunity to just enjoy themselves. All that stuff I really love about him as a person, and obviously he's really funny too. But it's clear as day, if you're a fan, that he's not been enjoying himself on the show. And it's clear that he needed to have some sort of break. Now, the sad thing about for Brendan, on his side of things, I have a feeling that this may be the reason why he may go, or the reason why he's wanting to go, is because he wanted to free up his time to do what he wants to do, which might be him doing a show with Bobby Lee, because in the last few months it felt like him and Bobby Lee have kind of ramped up their kind of hanging outness and stuff, because Bobby Lee's always been a little bit weird, maybe because Bobby Lee's single now, but I feel like I've seen videos and clips of Bobby Lee and Theo hanging out more than they did prior, like in terms of outside of podcasting and doing other bits and bobs and work. So it'd be funny and it'll be pretty cruel if the reason why he quit was to start a show with Bobby Lee. That would be awful. That would be absolutely awful. Like, even though, some of us here don't like Brendan and think he might be an unlikable person, I would feel really bad for him if that was the case. Do you know what I mean? I can't lie. I'd feel really bad for the guy. But again, selfishly, if you're Theo, you can't really complain that he's leaving. Like I said, I don't think he was put in a good position anyway, especially when Brendan did the stuff with Collider and Andy Liederman. Real, like, dumb brain stuff, because essentially he forced the scene, the industry to pick a side. And I think maybe it's all hindsight 50-50, but like I said before, I think if I had a horny night and I was feeling extra cheeky and stuff after a set and I was on my phone and I was thinking, and I saw flipping Collider's shiny tits, I'd have to, if I was Brendan, I'd have to think twice about texting her. You have to think twice, because Collider's boyfriend is Bobby Lee. Bobby Lee's like the beloved, kind of like weird older toddler guy in the whole scene. People love him and try to protect him because he's so, like, small and cute looking and whatever and fragile and whatnot. He just got a good reputation, it feels like, with everybody, maybe apart from Ari Shafir. I'd maybe think twice about DMing her, do you know what I mean? Because the ramifications of it. But once that DM happened, and then that story happened on the show, and then the whole Andy Liederman thing happened, it felt like he put into a position where people had to choose a side. And obviously with him too, he's got really bad luck, Brendan, because at the same time that happened, there was no Joe Rogan. So he couldn't inoculate himself and hide behind the big man or the little man, whatever it may be called, right? So he's just left on his own. And now it seems like everybody's picked a side and he's legitimately been left on his own. Like, he's on his own for sure. Like, this is just him and his little crew. Which is a shame, really, but he can't, he's only himself to blame. But yeah, so going forward, let's see what happens. But Theo Vaughn has officially left King of the Sting. And the interesting thing is also to note on it, because I just wanted to keep it so people are aware of the power of Theo. Let's just look at the show itself that we just checked out, right? The actual show that was just on. So if we go back to the actual show that we just saw now, that one is already on. And again, I'm not really bothered about this sort of stuff. It's not really interesting, but just in terms of looking at them, for myself, I don't really give a shit. I think content's content. Put out what you want to put out, and whoever watches it. But in terms of the Theo Vaughn episode of King of the Sting, 169,000 views and climbing, right? And it's only been out one day. If you go onto the channel itself, you will see that any episode with Theo has demonstrably more higher views than anything else, especially if it's got them in the thumbnail. Just look at those ones there. Just look at those. Right? Even the one with Chris D'Elia doesn't have as many views as fucking Theo. So you can tell how much of a dent of a big blow this is going to be to the whole like thick boy Brendan Schaub empire. That one's on 172. The one that's an excerpt. Let's can't count that. But there's one here, 179, featuring Brendan, Chris, and Eric in the thumbnail. 179. The one next to it with only Brendan and Theo, 352. That one with as an excerpt. So let's not count that again. Excerpt. Let's not count that one. That one was one of the highest actually. One with 1262. But you can see anyone that has Theo in it, the views are crazy. 360k views. Another one here, 357 views. Like anyone with Theo in it just gets demonstrably more. 410k views 3 months ago. This is probably going to hit 500,000 very soon. Crazy amount. So he's clearly a big draw, and maybe the biggest draw, especially now post Chris, because I think Chris before was a big draw, but now that he's a complete shell of a human being, I think fans have noticed it too, and they don't really respond as well as they did before to his content, or to his presence overall. So it's just not as great. Look at that one with the 4 horsemen. Right, and Brendan wearing that fucking stupid hat. He needs to burn that. With all 4 of them, right? Theo, Brendan, Eric, and Chris, 4 months ago, 683,000 views. Right, so clearly, Theo adds a bit, 100 views, 100,000 to 300,000 views per episode easily. So it's going to be a big dip in viewership for sure going forward at King of the Sting. So I wonder what's going to happen, because I know they've got a Patreon show that they do that's obviously pretty profitable, I reckon, behind the scenes. I think last time somebody was able to check numbers, I don't know how they do it, but they're able to pluck out somewhere around like the 5 to 10k per month range. So that's pretty handy that they get on top of it. But I don't know how much it costs to run that whole operation. Are they going to be able to stay afloat? I'm not really too sure, but it is a big blow for Brendan in terms of viewership. There's no doubt about it, man, because Theo's a fucking draw. It was a big draw. People love that guy. And the interesting thing is, if you go on the fucking subreddit of Theo Vaughn, the subreddit, especially the one that's announcing that he's leaving, the post has got like, I think he had like 900 upvotes, I think, last time I checked. Let me check again. But last time I checked on the Theo Vaughn subreddit, the actual Reddit that's announcing he's leaving had 800 plus upvotes, which is crazy high, especially on the comedy podcast subreddit, because everyone's fucking downvoting stuff and maybe not liking the things that they see, blah 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 blah. But last time I checked, it was on 800. Yeah, see, now it's already on 8. So that's at 829 now, with over 426 comments. I'll actually get up on the screen. There we go. You see that there? This one here, 829. Crazy, right? 829, absolutely nuts, with 426 comments, and most of them are just saying they're happy that he's left, they're over the moon. It's fucking nuts, to be honest. And obviously they're all Theo Vaughn fans, so for them to be that happy is strange, because I always assumed they enjoyed that show because Theo's pretty funny on it. But I guess, I think they've all got the same opinion, that Brendan just has over the years completely ruined it to the point where it's not enjoyable anymore. So they're all kind of happy that he's leaving, which is absolutely nuts. But yeah, let me see the comments last time when I checked them. Let me see. Actually get them up on the screen. Let me zoom in a little bit as well. Bish bash bosh. This is the thread looking at all the comments on it. It's the first one with 407 points. About fucking time. Long overdue. Gang, it's about time. Stepping down from watching KTS2. Theo doing the classic "it's not you, it's me" breakup routine, and Brendan generally thinks it's not him. Theo should start a podcast with Bobby Lee. Countdown to Theo and Bobby podcast shopping soon. Hell yeah. Theo's a lone wolf. He's upstairs. I'm glad he's unshacked for that moron. Didier will be Lex to leave. No, Didier can't leave. I think he needs that show, to be honest. Going. Well, not needs it, but you know what I mean. Brendan always making shit around. Sound like there's something around under the scenes with Theo. Yeah, it made the point that I made. Be good to yourself. So yeah, everybody's happy about it, it seems like, which is again a bad omen to him. But what do you guys think in the chat? I'd love to know. Do you guys think Theo's going to end up doing a show with Bobby Lee? Do you think he just needs more time to do his own thing? Do you feel sad for Brendan that he's now essentially officially on his own? Because apart from the people he pays, which is Chris D'Elia and Eric Griffin, don't get it wrong. Don't get it twisted. As much as he was crying about Chris D'Elia, that guy wouldn't be on the show if he wasn't getting paid. So wouldn't Eric. Eric wouldn't be making excuses for Brendan and acting like he's his friend after he ripped him before, right? Now he's pretending that they're best pals if he wasn't getting paid. So those people are paid employees. I don't see them as friends. But now he's legitimately on his own. What do you guys think? Bobby and Theo have like a show or movie coming together right now. Yeah, they do. Yeah, true. They're filming something. I think I saw it. Love Theo, says Sonny. I don't watch a show with Bobby. I don't feel bad for Brendan at all. He has a great life. Yeah, true. Good point. I wish we would do a podcast with Bobby Lee. I adore Theo Griffin. Yeah, I really like Bad Friends with Andrew Santino. I think Bobby Lee and Andrew Santino are a fucking crazy dynamic duo. And I don't think that podcast gets enough love. I don't think people talk about it as much as they should. Maybe because it's not guest heavy. It's usually just them two. And now they're doing a really sick thing where they're promoting who's the Filipino girl that all the guys like, what's her name? George, right? She's getting a lot of shine on there. So she's become like a running gag. And there's this other girl on there too that's really funny. When I checked in last time, she's awesome. I think she's a comedian actually, so I don't know if she's just a random girl, but she's really cool as well. So I like how they instead of having it being guest heavy, they make all the people associated with the show part of the show. And even the producer guy, I think he's got I think he's Spanish or something. He kind of comes in and throws around some good jokes and shit. Yes, is it Jet Ski? Yeah, Jet Ski or Juicy. I don't know, whatever her name is. She's really good. The other girl, so that's a really good show as well. So, yeah, Bobby Lee's always good for that kind of banter. So it looks like from the chat, everyone's kind of split. Not split, but people are in agreement that they kind of, are happy for Theo that he's now kind of going out on his own and doing his own thing. For Brendan, it's obviously going to be a bit of a wake-up call, hopefully, now that clearly he shouldn't be doing the things he did previously to put in a position where people are having to choose sides, because it seems like without Joe, they're never going to choose his side because he's just not likable, or he's just not as liked as he probably thinks he is. That's probably the long and short of it. So let's see what happens going forward with Theo Vaughn. I'll keep my eyes and ears peeled. So next, we obviously need to play all the fun stuff. So the Fighting the Kids subreddit went in with this. They're absolutely rejoicing because any L that Brendan receives for them is an absolute win and a victory, because for most of them, I feel like on that subreddit, they think Brendan's a lost cause. Now, me personally, I'm in the middle. I don't think it's a lost cause, and I also don't think he's God's gift to fucking podcast or whatever it may be, right? I'm somewhere in the middle because I was such a fan before. I was such a hardcore fan prior. It's just, and plus, I've got that weird, pathetic Christian Catholic thing in me where I'm always thinking someone can turn it around, right? Which is really not likely because the man's approaching 40 years old. He has 2 kids and a wife. He's long in the game now. If he didn't change off the back of the Annie Lederman Kalila thing, he's never going to change now. Do you know what I mean? So I don't really think it's going to happen, but I still hold out hope. So I'm not all the way on the side of he's irredeemable, but I'm also not ignoring, his fucking unlikable personality. But anyway, the Fighting the Kids subreddit guys have had a lot of fun with this. They've been going in on the compilation, so I'm going to play one. It's titled "Take This Job and Shove It," and it should be funny. I don't care if it gets me, it gets me demonetized or yellow. I think this is good for the banter, good for the fun, so hopefully you guys enjoy it too. It's about 6 minutes long. Let's play it, and let's see if you guys have fun with it. But yeah, big up the Fighting the Kids subreddit guys. You guys are absolutely awesome.
We did an extra one last week with Jeff Dye, so that drops today. And then, Theo's doing his thing. Theo's doing his thing, so, we're figuring it out.
When you Well, do you think that was a sign, by the way? Sorry, I'm coming in really loud there, but do you guys think that was a sign when Theo went on Joe Rogan's podcast? No, sorry, when Joe went on Theo's podcast. Do you think that was a sign that things were not good with Brendan and Brian in general? I would have taken that as a sign, personally for me. I would have taken it as a sign. because Joe doesn't go on many people podcasts. He's got that line that he throws out about, I've got my own show. I'd rather invite you here to talk on my studio. Why would I go on someone else's show? And he's very precious and very particular about his free time. Like, because he's so busy, he can't really be spending, if he's doing 6-hour podcasts back to back, he can't really justify missing out family time to go do another person's show. So the fact that he went on this past weekend, even though it was on his own studio, I understand, but the fact that he made time at the end of the show to do like another hour with Theo, and also be in a jokey mood, showed that clearly, the kind of the favorites in the group are kind of shuffled around. And obviously they've got the new what's that podcast called? Save Our Parks with Ari, Mark Normand, and Shane Gillis. That's kind of replaced JRE, Fight Companion, and that crew with Eddie, Brian, and Brendan. So again, if Brendan was more self-aware and more attuned to what was going on, it wasn't so like delusional or kind of a weird sense of self in terms of him thinking he's actually pop more well-liked than he is. Or maybe it's not his fault. Maybe actually behind the scenes people just lick his ass and then they talk bad about him behind his back, but whatever. I would have seen this as a real big warning sign that, oh shit, he made time to go on his show, but he hasn't. When's the last time? Has Joe ever been on The Frighten the Kid, by the way? Yeah, see, someone said it here, Eddie D. Schaub has never done a Schaub podcast. So has he ever been on any of their shows? From the Schaub Show, Big Brown Breakdown back in the day, Food Truck Diaries. Has he ever been on Brian? You remember Brian Cannon had that show called Mixed Mental Arts? You remember that? That fucking nonsense. He's ever been on that? I don't think he's ever been on that either, has he? So it's crazy. That I think he might have been on Theo's twice, or maybe not one, not twice, maybe it's just one time. But still, the fact that he did it says a lot. It really does say a lot. What was Brendan thinking? I get it. Kalala's cute. But is she cute enough to really risk your entire career off the back of it? Really? 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 Because that, for all the fucked up thing the guy's done, or for how shit he is as a person and whatnot, you have to say a lot of it was a lot of the kind of pushback or the kind of the negative things that are said about Brendan were mostly things that people were saying on the subreddit. It wasn't usually things that he's done to people. Maybe he'd relay a story where he sounded like a douchebag. Maybe he acted a certain way on camera to somebody that fans noticed, but maybe the person in the studio didn't notice. But it didn't really affect the comedy world. It was stuff that only fans saw, like only us viewers, we had an issue with. But then this ended up being one of the issues that he kind of had to suffer for in his industry, in his scene. It's something that affected that thing. And it's like, why did you do that, man? Honestly, why? It's the biggest faux pas ever. One of the biggest faux pas ever. Because he definitely lost.
Sub accounts, you have other accounts. Bobby has accounts in your name.
That fake laugh is awful. That fake laugh is awful.
Whatever you guys have going on is fucking retarded.
Dude, Theo, who's not here today, shout out to Theo. He called me this morning, legit concerned, because yesterday, when I do my shows, I drink, man. I like to have a good time. He's like, dude, I know we joke around about intervention, stuff like that. He's like, but for you, he's dead serious. And this is coming from Theo. He goes,
why is he laughing about that? He drinks every day. And from the sounds of it, it's like from the looks of it, it's a very heavy pour, especially from BGO. That's his fucking best buddy, isn't it? So he definitely gives him the best pour he can give him. A big, fat, massive, nice brick of ice. Like, that's not a little tipple to kind of get you going. That's a drink. So maybe you should have an intervention. You know what I mean?
But for you to drink on most of the shows, it's concerning. And he goes, because I've been there, man. You're drinking to get through it because you hate it. I was like, oh no, you don't
you love it.
I absolutely love it. This is the highlight of my day. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
House.
This is where, to be honest, I have to be honest, and I say I have a little bit of sympathy for Brendan in this, because I feel like Theo has known for a while that he didn't want to do the show, but he didn't have the courage to kind of say that he didn't want to do it, so he kept avoiding it and doing these kind of like little jokes that are not really jokes that have some truth in it. Do you know what I mean? That's why I kind of feel a bit sorry for Brendan in that regard. Because we're like, hey, you should have told me that you were not happy, like you didn't want to do the show. We would have worked something out. You know what I mean? But he just kept joking about it and not saying anything. And I'm sure he's the kind of type where Brendan maybe would have said, hey, you don't want to do the show anymore? You're not feeling it? And he'd be like, no, I'm cool, man. I'm all right. I'm cool. Let's just do it, man. Trust me, I'm fine. So it maybe was a bit of a surprise because he kept telling him that he's okay, and then one day just come in and said, "Nah, I don't want to do it anymore." But this is brutal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Erica.
You're welcome.
Brendan is, where are you today, Brendan?
I'm in Naples.
Oh.
But you say milk too.
Yep.
It's milk.
Just depends where you
The
come
whole
from.
thing. Somebody beat half the vowels out of him.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The guy's down to 2 vowels.
I know,
dude.
man. I should be farting whenever I want at this point.
Brendan needs a backpack to get through the alphabet.
Theo, let's take a little break from chatting about bullshit with each other because UFC 276
Yes,
is
too
here,
funny.
man.
I'm doing fine. The cat slicer, baby.
Petition to rescue Theo Vaughn. He's too funny to be associated with Papa. Jeez. See, even the Fight in the Kids subreddit, people say it's notorious for hate. No, it isn't. They just hate one person, and that's Brendan Shaw. For the most part, these guys give it up. If someone's funny, if someone's good, they always go out of their way to mention it. Like, I forgot who the last person they championed, but I think the last person they championed was some whiskey review guy. There was this guy who was reviewing whiskeys who kind of stumbled upon Brendan Schaub's one, and no, I think he got told to review it, and people were flooding his comments with goodwill, subbing to his channel, and just really gave him a bit of a boost when he was first starting. So there's clearly a good people on there. They just have a singular person that they dislike, and unfortunately it's Big Brown.
And I called earlier and said, why we don't have nothing to eat?
Mark's going to get his food right
Yeah,
now.
well, he could have left early.
What we're doing, he can't
sat
eat on
here-
air.
You know what he sat here doing? Drinking water. Okay?
He's drinking water and handles
Protein Pony is sitting over here slurping down water. God.
Oh, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
Drinking water. Okay?
He's drinking water and handles
Protein
almonds.
Pony is sitting over here slurping down water.
Honestly, if you're BGL, how can you get offended by that joke? In that context also. They're just laughing and joking around about you maybe going to go to get food earlier, taking your time, Protein Pony, drinking water. Like, how can that be seen as offensive? Like, but it makes sense that he's a Brendan Schaub fan or a Brendan Schaub friend, isn't it? Because you're in a comedy world, you're in that whole sphere, but then you're thin-skinned and you can't take a joke or laugh at yourself. It's just very bizarre.
God. I'm gonna damn
We
eat
need
the-
to feed you before you turn to a fucking gremlin.
I know I'm just not doing well today, man.
She just
It's mad, isn't it? Every time he goes on fucking King of the Sting, his mood like is deflated or defeated. He feels like he shouldn't be there. Insane, isn't it? They should have saw the signs ages ago.
bought
But
a
anyway.
house in fucking Boca Raton, $6 million cash, daddy. Cash.
Y'all need to get off this. This is a damn child, isn't it? Y'all need to quit even looking at this child.
No, dog, she
It was all
18.
over the news.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can't believe Brennan
Imagine your fucking
quit even
Crystalia.
looking at this child.
no,
man.
dog, she
It
18.
was all over the news.
Imagine Crystalia coming off the back of what he's been accused of, right? Diddling kids, essentially, having a little bit of a penchant for girls who are close to underage but legal in some states. Imagine coming off the back of those accusations that legitimately crippled your career, nearly cost you your family, and then you're arguing for the right to view Bad Bunnies or Bad Babies, his Patreon account. Imagine being that guy arguing, hey man, I can check it out. She's legal now, man. She's of age. Bro, didn't you just get nearly flipping cancelled for trying to get into the pants of 16-year-olds? Wait, maybe you should maybe you should sit this topic out. You know what I mean? Respectfully.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can't believe Brendan Schaub tried to bang your girlfriend, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
You mentioned that.
Donatello had the staff. Donatello was the fucking intellectual
Brandon.
one.
Michelangelo had the nunchucks.
Hey, I already know this.
Take this job and shove it. I ain't working here no more.
Well, you sound like you don't.
No.
It sounds like
No,
we're figuring this
No,
out together.
I do know. You want to hear from a guy who knows, or you want to hear from a guy who doesn't know?
I know.
No.
Leonardo was the guy with the swords. Raphael had the size, and then Michelangelo had the fucking chips.
Bow stick.
And he loved the pizza the most.
Love
And then
pizza.
Donatello.
I don't know,
Hey.
B. I don't know.
B, listen, Dana White.
Well, Sassa's the best as well.
My fault.
I've
I've never done that for him.
Yeah. How many countries are there? Look it up, Chin.
How many countries are there?
Hey, Chin, how do I spell my name? Look it up if you don't mind. PDE,
Holy shit.
Black Rifle Coffee. We'll see you in Toledo.
So here's my character.
Santa Ana gonna release some special tickets. Where you gonna be at, Bry?
These impressions are the best for me. I think Tim Dillon's got one of Joe Rogan too. They're not exactly impressions of like how they sound, but more so impressions of like mannerisms and shit. And these things make me legitimately bust up laughing. Obviously, it's good to get impressions like dead on ones. There's one recently that Jamie Foxx did of Donald Trump that's fucking phenomenal. And Shane Gillis has obviously got a good Donald Trump too. But sometimes these kind of mannerisms, impression stuff is really hilarious, man.
That's my Brian.
So
and then he took out one of my ribs and fucking cooked it
I
right
shucked
there.
an arm and gave him a fucking weird choke.
BDE. BDE. That's 250 episodes of TFATK in 2 minutes.
That's amazing. Oh, he should have known, man. He should have known better. And it's interesting too because people have speculated on the pod or on the Reddit that Theo's secretly always been in love with Kalila. So it'd be funny if like Bobby Lee, being the consummate cuck that he is like, look, I'm not with her anymore. I love you, Bobby. I love you, Theo. You're my friend. You're my brother. I give you permission to hook up with Kalila, and she's just happy to be around, isn't it? And happy to not be in fucking war-torn Philippines or whatnot. She'd be like, hey, yes, of course, it's okay. You can fuck me if you want. And then Theo comes in, all right, and moves his fucking mullet out of the way and just goes to town. It'll be a funny thing if that actually happens, isn't it?
It's a plane going around the world, man.
Road dog life.
Do you know why?
No. Why?
not
did
gonna
you get
talk,
a,
Brendan.
Why did you get a Boeing?
Thank him. Hilarious.
Damn, I got dandruff.
Yeah, that was the one I was mentioning before. Remember I mentioned in the beginning how I feel like this was interesting because when it came to like giving him compliments for his show or doing that kind of roundup, the whole clip that Theo did in terms of a tribute to Brendan was just like him riffing. He wasn't even talking about the stand-up special. He just like him riffing, and at the end he kind of like, hey, congratulations on your special. He just it was really strange. Really strange.
Dang, boy. That shit is big too, huh?
This man's sobbing.
Looks like my dandruff has been doing it. What's up, player? I'm at my grandmother's house right now, but just chilling, man. About to grill up some oysters.
But yeah, it's over, innit? It's done. That's fucking hilarious. Really amazing video. Big up the Redditor that fucking put that shit together. It's available now, obviously, in the T5K subreddit. Go and check it out. It's called Take This Job and Shove It. It's one of the pinned ones on there. Don't delay. Go and check it out right now. It's absolutely cry.